How cool is this?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
All right, guys.
This is motion picture, people.
Look at this.
Fame! 15 minutes of fame!
The Courage Classic is one of the fundraising events that we do in the Office of Philanthropy to raise money for the Child Abuse Intervention Department at Mary Bridge Children's Hospital in Tacoma.
The ride starts in North Bend and it goes over 3 passes. We start out with Snoqualmie Pass the first day, and then it goes over Blewett Pass the second day from Cle Elum to Leavenworth. And then the third day we start in Leavenworth and we go over Stevens Pass ending in Skycombe.
The Courage Classic started in 1992, and it is affiliated with the Rotary Clubs of Pierce County. All 13 Rotary Clubs get together and support the event. And in fact, the proceeds from the event go into the Rotary Endowment for the prevention and intervention of child abuse and neglect. And that endowment is at Mary Bridge Children's Hospital. This year we have about 495 riders. Each of those riders pays $60 to register for the event. That covers the cost of their meals and so on. And then they raise a minimum of $400 each. Our average rider raises about $1,100. So what that tells me is that our riders get it. They understand that there's more to this ride than just camaraderie and great scenery and great food and friendship. That they're doing it for the kids. In fact, that's kind of our mantra on the ride, is do it for the kids. The Child Abuse Intervention Department at Mary Bridge sees about 550 kids each year. And while that doesn't seem like a whole lot, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, it's 1 or 2 new cases every single day of the week, every week of the year. So we're battling this, and the riders are helping us battle this really is a disease in our community through their participation in the Courage Classic. And we're very proud to be involved in it, and we hope that it will continue for many years.
Softball field at the west end of the school.
Questions? I work for Dr. Randall Thompson, and he's done it every year. I've worked for him for 10 years, and he keeps telling me I can do it. I never believed him, and so I said, this year, okay, I'll do it. For the kids. The Lord's really put a huge burden of children on my heart, and this is one way I can help.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm a physician at Tacoma General Hospital in Multicare. I'm a heart surgeon, and this is my 3rd year riding the race. I'd like to ride the race to support the Mary Bridge Foundation and the Mary Bridge cause, which has to do, of course, with the abused children. My wife was involved in that cause years ago in Florida.
Dr. Randy Thompson. I used to work for him, and his excitement just kind of spread through the office, and I'm still in contact with them even though I don't work for them anymore, and I just went on board with them and thought I'd try it this year. The last month, Linda, Honor, and we ride on Camino Island, pulling all the hills, and about 20 miles a day to 50 miles, and just getting a good ride every time we could. So nervous. I was just butterflies, nauseous, then I'd be excited, and then I'd be nauseous, and now that I do the first day, I feel pretty good.
I guess this year is about 100 and, what would that be, 47 or something like that. By the time you leave, you kind of have they give you a nice warm-up time. You probably have 5 to 10 miles of kind of a flat ride, and then it starts the passes of kind of climbing. And to get to the top of each pass, it's about 3 hours. Normally, sometimes Stevens is a little bit longer because it's 40 miles to the summit of Stevens, and so that can take more like 4 hours. But it's probably about 2/3 of the day is just getting to the top of the pass.
I am a victim of sexual assault. I was raped when I was 16 years old, and so this is something that I have had to deal with my whole life, and it's something that I continue to deal with, and this is why I'm a part of this ride. It's why my dad started to do this ride. It's why I chose to be supportive in this ride, and it's why now that I choose to do this ride. This is something that I know I'm not alone in. There are many people out there who are victims, but I choose to look at myself now as a survivor and choose to make a difference. The ride is something that has become something that has so united my family, and it was spurred on by my dad deciding to find this as something that he could do to show his own efforts, to show that he cared, to do something for the cause. There was nothing that he could do. You know, he found out later, years after, that I had been assaulted, and it was a helpless, horrible feeling. So to be able to do something about it made him feel better, and over these last years it's become a family thing that we do, and we do it together, and it's become almost, well, every rape survivor has an anniversary, and they have an anniversary of the event that took place, and it's not necessarily a good anniversary. It's something that they remember, and it comes up every year, and it can be very, very traumatic. But this has become something that has been positive in my life, and this has turned into a wonderful anniversary and something that I celebrate and I look forward to. And so it's really wonderful to be able to take something that has happened to you that sometimes we don't have control over, and take something that has happened to you that's bad, and to be able to turn it into something that's positive, and to actually then affect other people's lives in a positive way. I would just say that it's a cause that's very near and dear to my heart, and that I do it for a specific reason. But whether you ride it because you're athletic, or whether you ride it because you have a friend or a sister or someone that you know that that something's happened to, it just matters that you ride. It's a fun ride, and it's camaraderie, and it's a good time, and it's healthy, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And I think that if it does some good, that's what matters. And if one person is affected, then that's what matters. And if there's one person that I can help or touch, then that's all that I care about. So I would just say, ride because you want to, and ride because of not only because it has affected you, but because it could. And that I think we need to be more aware And I think that it is an issue, and I think that the best thing that we can do is to talk about it. And if it's ever happened to you, or if it ever comes close to, I think you need to tell somebody, and I think everybody needs to talk about it, and I think silence is our worst enemy.
The reason I'm doing the ride is because my wife suffered from sexual abuse as a child, and it's very important to me to ride for her and for the kids. Having a great time, the ride's going well, and we're riding with a great group.
The ride has meant different things to me every year. When we first started, I was riding for Kelsey, for what she went through, and then it became about family, because Randy and Jamie and all of us would kind of join together as a family, and it was about family and about Kelsey. And now that we've done it so many years, and now that Kelsey has ridden it herself, it's become more about the kids, still about family, but more about where the money's going and who we're raising it for, and helping other kids who haven't been helped before. Oh my gosh, you're looking at it right here. I've got this is a backpack with a 100-watt speaker on the inside. It takes 12 AA batteries each day that I put into it, but then it hooks into my iPod, and so I have music for the climb, I have music for just the everyday ride, I have my funky mix, my rock mix, and I can take requests while people are riding. It's a blast. Lots of fun.
And I'm from Houston, Texas, and this is my second year coming up to help out as a ground crew member for the Courage Classic race, and I do it because I've worked with abused children and I have a soft spot in my heart for them. I'll go anywhere to do that, and so I have a real special place in my heart for the Mary Bridges Hospital for abused children.
Hi, I'm Charlie Niemeyer, and I'm from Houston, Texas, and this is my second year to do the Courage Classic. I came up last year at the invitation of a friend who rides in it, Jamie and Randy Thompson, and they said, why don't you come up and be a ground crew member? So I came up, and I found it to be absolutely overwhelming as far as an experience is concerned. Just the purpose for why these riders are riding, their incredible endurance on the ride. I was summit crew at the top. Our job was to check riders off and make sure everybody got to the top safely. And in addition to that, we would cheer them on as they came up the last mile. And it was just awesome to see them put out that kind of energy and that kind of heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears to gather this money for the children of the Mary Bridge Hospital. I'll come back as many years as I can because I just find this an absolutely wonderful experience.
This nurse over here, she worked at Mary Bridges for 10 years.
All right! Woo!
That's like 5 years ago.
This is actually my 12th year that I've done the ride. 12 years ago,
I had just returned from being serving with the Army overseas in Germany and came back and was stationed at Fort Lewis in Pierce County. And a friend of mine told me about a ride that went over 3 mountain passes. It was called the Courage Classic. I was really very interested because I was always looking for a physical challenge and like to keep myself in shape. But when I found out the reason for the ride and that it supported the work at Mary Bridge Children's Hospital and their children's sexual abuse treatment unit, I was hooked because I had recently found out that my own daughter had been sexually abused as a teenager, and it had happened in secret. She hadn't told anybody, and it's not her mother and I, until several years later, and we had just found out, and I knew that I had to do the ride at that time. She was in college, and I called her and I said, "Kelsey, I'm going to do this ride. It's for the treatment of the sexually abused children. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you." And she flew out from Kentucky to do the first ride with me 12 years ago, and has been with me every ride since then. And in the last 2 years, has even started to ride it herself. So that's how I got started, and it's been an important part to help with the healing process, to help with just dealing with some of my own emotions, because I wasn't there to protect my daughter or to take care of her or to intervene, and I couldn't go back and make things right. And so this is a way we've been able to do it together, but also with a few dollars that we raised to help some other kids that and hopefully help them to get through this in a better way, and maybe even get to the point where we can stop this epidemic that's going on. The first year I did it, there were probably only 300 riders, and it had been going on for 2 or 3 years and had grown somewhat, but since then it's grown to almost well over 550 riders, and the money that they raise every year seems to be going up. So it's essentially the same ride. It's just so well supported. It's really a great time. The weather usually cooperates, and we just have a good time working ourselves and helping each other over the mountain passes. And for me, it's grown because I've been able to get family members interested in doing it, and for several years now I've been able to sponsor a team called Spinning and Grinning, and get new riders to try it and prove to themselves that they can do this physical challenge, and in the meantime learn that it's really not about them anyway. It's about what they can raise for the kids and all that they can do in that regard. So that's basically how it's growing for me. Well, I'd like to encourage anyone who would be interested in trying it to get a hold of me, and certainly I'll be more than happy to put them on the team for any year that comes up. And I sure appreciate all the people that have supported me with their contributions, and the money that they've donated to the cause has been great over the years, and I really sincerely thank them for their contributions and for their support. It's really meant a lot to me, and it makes it riding those mountain passes a lot easier. So.
I can tell you that the Rotary Endowment now stands at $3.7 million and is the primary source of funding for the Child Abuse Intervention Department at Mary Bridge. It's about 1/3 of the annual operating budget comes from the Courage Classic. So it's very important. Last year we raised $478,000 on the ride. This year we're projecting we'll raise over $530,000 for the Rotary Endowment in support of the cave.
My name is Maddie Murray, and I'm a nurse executive and hospital administrator for Mary Bridge Children's Hospital. It is a complete pleasure for me to be riding the Courage Classic this year for my 7th year. I've been a pediatric nurse for the last 25 years, and the most amazing thing about this ride is the way the community and the riders respond to the problem of child abuse in our region. Folks are committed, they're overjoyed, they're willing to raise money and get themselves over 3 mountain passes on bikes. It's great to be here and to feel the support of our entire community in trying to respond to the needs of children.
Not all of these stories reach the paper, and we've all been shocked and dismayed this week by revelations that have been brought to light in the Tacoma News Tribune and our local news. I'm here to talk about the other victims that may not make the newspaper. We see more than 500 child victims of sexual or physical abuse in our department every year. And I want to tell you a little bit today about two of those victims. They're both 11-year-old girls. They each represent different ethnicities and socioeconomic status, but they are both victims of child maltreatment and sexual assault in particular. They came to the attention of our department in very different ways. One was a brave girl who spoke up at school and told her school staff that she was afraid to go home because at home she was assaulted by her stepfather. It was school that made the referral to Child Protective Service and law enforcement, and those agencies brought the child to our attention where she could receive her forensic interview and medical exam, and her mother could also receive services. This was shocking to her mother, and initially her mother did not believe the child's disclosures. Her mother did not actually believe her disclosures until her sibling came forward in a forensic interview and also disclosed witnessing the abuse of her sister. This is a tragedy for the child and for the family, and we were able to provide the family with immediate support. The mother received counseling services immediately, and the daughter received counseling services that day that she came in for her services. We also recently saw another 11-year-old girl, and her story was quite different. She did not talk about her experience, and it was brought to the attention of officials when her mother called our department because her mother walked in on her assault, and it was her father that was the offender. So it was her mother that sought services from our department, and we were able to get the child immediately in for her forensic medical exam, and unfortunately this child tested positive for a sexually transmitted disease, and she required follow-up treatment from our clinic 3 other times to assure that her body was healthy and recovering. And we were further able to assist this family and this mother who sought active services for her child and who advocated on her behalf. We were able to assist her with finding and supporting her in getting safe and stable housing